let's talk about Armenia, okay? Because this is not just about Armenia. This also relates to Russia, to Moscow, to Putin. It relates to Washington. It relates to Turkey. And you've had several huge developments in the last couple of days. So Pashinyan, Armenia's leader, I mean, I can only describe him as a traitor. This man is really a fool. He is a traitor, and he just gave away a chunk of Armenia to Azerbaijan. Just so you understand this, Armenia has, existed for millennia, for thousands of years, okay? And throughout history, its size has fluctuated, right? Because someone would take a piece, and then they would take another piece. I mean, if I show you the maps throughout the ages, you can see what I'm talking about. How it has been consistently throughout history, plundered and reduced. I mean, if we look at 70 BC, look how big Greater Armenia was back then. It even includes Syria, right? So then when you look at the first Armenian Republic in 1918, it's twice the size of what it is today in 1918, okay? Because it's maybe you don't want to talk about biblical times, right? Obviously. But just look at 100 years ago, how big it was, twice the size. What happened? You have basically Turkey that not only committed a genocide against Armenia, that killing 1.5 million Armenians. Remember, the word genocide was coined because of what Turkey did to Armenia. Not only did Turkey massacre 1.5 million Armenians, but on top of that, Turkey basically swallowed 2/3 of Armenia, right? So Armenia is now reduced to what you see, as a country that's sandwiched between Azerbaijan and Turkey. And remember, Azerbaijan and Turkey are one and the same. Don't think of Azerbaijan as a different country. It's just Turkey. It's literally Turkey. And it's not me saying that. They even say this themselves, right? Erdogan, they've said this themselves, that we are one people. They are, right? They identify as one ethnicity and so on, right? So just to show you what's going on, there's a region here. There's a region, a piece of Armenia called it's called Nagorno-Karabakh. Now, in Nagorno-Karabakh, the majority of people living there are Armenians, okay? But apparently, Azerbaijan thinks it's a part of Azerbaijan. They've basically, claimed this as part of their land since 1991, since the end of the Cold War. Remember, Armenia used to be part of the Soviet Union. So, heavily influenced, right, by the Soviet Union, and is even part of CSTO, which is kind of the successor to the Warsaw Pact, give or take. And so, Nagorno-Karabakh has 120,000 Armenians living there. And now, Pashinyan, who is the leader of Armenia, instead of helping them to defend their land, he has basically said, you know what, I'll take in 40,000 of you. Not everyone, of course, because then there will be a revolt against him. And, he's basically gifting away the land to Azerbaijan. So think of, if you're somebody from Nagorno-Karabakh, you're Armenian, right? Because the majority of them are Armenian. You have the choice of either leaving your home and going, into Yerevan, the capital, or wherever, and losing your home, right? Or you can stay there in Nagorno-Karabakh and you can be absorbed into Azerbaijan. And so in either way, you lose your home in the end, because Azerbaijan gets to keep it. You see here what Armenia is today. Just the yellow part. This is the yellow part. Look how big it used to be. And Turkey has swallowed all of this. So Armenia is just the yellow part today. And you can see in orange, what do you have in orange? You have areas that are under foreign control, but nevertheless inhabited by Armenians mostly, right? And so, of course, this includes Nagorno-Karabakh. And he basically just gifted that away. Here's another map saying that, basically indicating the same thing. So the light red, not the dark red, the light red is Armenian majorities living in neighboring countries today. So that includes in Georgia, up there in Georgia, and you also have in Azerbaijan, or what apparently is Azerbaijan. And, I think this is really messed up that he's doing this. And so the thing is, what's going on with Pashinyan? How does this relate to Moscow? Well, I told you that Armenia, is part of the CSTO and also, which is the military alliance, the successor to it only has 6 members. It's a successor to the Warsaw Pact. He basically made sure that Armenia moves away from Moscow, right? What do I mean by that? Well, one example is he had the Armenian army. He allowed the Americans to come and train and run an exercise with the Armenian military. How about that? What do you think the Iranians and the Russians are thinking when they see that? Remember, just again, I'm going to zoom out here on the map so you can see what I'm talking about. Look how close this is to Iran and to Russia, okay? What do you think Putin is thinking when he sees the Americans in Armenia training with them, huh? Iran is literally next door, literally. It borders Armenia, okay? So the Iranians are going, what the hell are you doing with the Americans? And the Russians up here, right, who are also next door, right? They're also going, what the hell are you doing with the Americans? And remember when Pashinyan, he got into power, basically, Putin didn't call him for a few days because he wanted to, give him the cold shoulder, give him the silent treatment because he knows what his policies are. Pashinyan is somebody who is educated in the West. Usually, so was Bashar al-Assad. So I guess it depends, right? But he certainly took that influence home with him, and he wants to move Armenia away from Russia and from the Russian sphere and into the American one. Now, I'm not saying Armenia should be part of the Russian sphere. I think it's way too influenced by the Russians, way too much. Like even the language, too much, way too much. And Armenia has existed since before anyone ever heard of Russia, right? Remember, even in 70 BC, right? So I don't think that it should have. It'd be so influenced by it, but you shouldn't also, just think of geopolitics. He shouldn't be doing this. He is a next door neighbor of Russia. He cannot just decide to bring the Americans into the fold and think that nothing will happen. No, people are watching. People are paying attention. People can see what he's doing. And so one thing that I had in mind, now I'm just speculating here. One thing that I'm thinking is, why don't the Russians help? Because the Russians are the ones who sent peacekeepers to fix the situation in Nagorno-Karabakh, and they were supposed to calm things down between Azerbaijan and between Armenia, right? And now what's happening is that Armenia is losing a chunk. Once again, like always throughout history, another piece. They just want to carve it down till it's nothing. Why didn't the Russians do anything? It's funny because the Americans and the French, they take Armenia's position in this whole issue, which is interesting, right? And yet we come to the events in the last 2 days where this peace, this truce was signed, the ceasefire between the militants in Nagorno-Karabakh and Pashinyan and Azerbaijan and so on. And why was this allowed to happen? I think, and I'm speculating here, I think that Putin knows what's going to happen. Putin knows that because of this truce, people are going to go nuts. They're going to lose it against Pashinyan. And that's what's happening. If you look right now, what's happening in Armenia, people are protesting everywhere. They're saying, how can you betray us like this? How can you betray the people in Nagorno-Karabakh? How can you just give away this land to Azerbaijan after everything? They hate him. Who can blame them, right? And so I'm speculating here. I'm just thinking, what if Putin knows this is going to happen and he wants to get rid of Pashinyan because he's too pro-Western and get somebody from the opposition into power who will be on Moscow's side? I think this is something that's worth thinking about. And turns out I'm not the only one who thought of this. Look what I found in CNBC of all places. So one of the analysts that they spoke to, called Kusa, he said that Moscow is interested in replacing Pashinyan with any other loyal figure from the opposition camp, which would further consolidate Russia's control over Yerevan. Yerevan is the capital of Armenia, which had been weakened in recent years by Pashinyan's attempts to reach out to the West and by the war in Ukraine. Remember also another thing that Pashinyan did, he's giving aid to Ukraine. He's giving aid to Ukraine, the other side that's fighting against Russia. So that's another way of saying, screw you to Putin, right? He's saying, screw you. I want to have military drills with the Americans. I want to give aid to Ukraine so they can fight you on the battlefield. These are giant, massive middle fingers to the Kremlin. You cannot behave like this in politics and think no one is going to notice. The act of him giving aid to Ukraine is worse than the actual aid, right? because it has a worse and larger impact than the aid will on the battlefield. It has a much more massive, a much bigger political footprint and consequences, right? So, no wonder the Russians would want to get rid of him. So maybe this is like some 14th, 15th dimensional chess where Putin's saying, you know what? Because remember, the Russians are the ones who proposed this truce. So in a way, they're responsible for this land being ceded to Azerbaijan. Why would the Russians do this? Right? They're supposed to be there as peacekeepers, huh? And the Iranians approved this. The Iranians are saying, yeah, we support this ceasefire, which really means that the land is lost. It's taken away from Armenia and given to Azerbaijan, even though most people who live there are not from Azerbaijan. They're Armenians. Just bouncing ideas around. Maybe they want to get rid of Pashinyan because he's too pro-West. They know that people are going to go ape. They're going to go ape shit against him, and they are. And they want to get rid of him. Maybe that's what's going on. I don't know. But I think that in general, this guy, he has lost control of Armenia. He no longer has any support at home. He is hated by the people. He has weakened himself internationally and also domestically. And the Russians don't like him. They want to get rid of him. They've made that clear, as I told you, with Putin's, refusing to even speak to him for several days. This is really clear that his tenure is untenable, no pun intended. So I don't think he'll be in office for long. I could be wrong, but again, I think what's more important here is how we see the relationship between Armenia and Russia progress, right? It's not good for Russia. It's not good for Armenia to have someone like Pashinyan in place. This guy is dangerous. He doesn't know what he's doing. The only thing he has accomplished so far is to bring in America through the back door and to give away land to Azerbaijan. Wow. Just look at this map of the Armenian diaspora, like what has happened because of the genocide. Look how many countries have huge Armenian communities that which is not a bad thing, but the reason that they were scattered all over the world is because of the massacre, because of the genocide, right? And so along with that genocide came a huge loss of land, a colossal loss of land. And Armenia is again experiencing not only the killing of people in Nagorno-Karabakh, but also the loss of its land, which through time and time again through history, it has experienced. And I think it's very sad. Remember, Azerbaijan as a country is not only like one with Turkey, but also a huge Israeli ally. So who is he giving this land to? Azeris don't even live there, as I told you. They don't come from there. They don't live there. And Azerbaijan gives gas and oil to Israel in exchange for weapons. Most of the equipment that the Azerbaijani military have, that the Azeri military have, are Israeli. Need I say more? Remember, Iran also views Azerbaijan as a threat, because if you look at the map, Azerbaijan shares a border with Iran. And if Azerbaijan has good ties with Israel, then what do you think is on the border right here? What do you think is in the sea? You have Mossad. You have the Israeli intelligence service on Iran's border, thanks to Azerbaijan. That's another huge problem and threat. Maybe that's why Iran and Russia supported the truce. Maybe they want Pashinyan gone. Who knows? But Azerbaijan as a country, I mean, again, this is just because it's the quote-unquote internationally recognized border, it means absolutely nothing. Again, they keep massacring Armenians and taking away the land. I think it's scandalous, really, really scandalous. And the fact that the French and the Americans support Armenia, but yet they did nothing, I think that also says a lot. They're not willing to actually get involved when it matters. When it comes to fighting Azerbaijan, when it comes to defending Nagorno-Karabakh. Why do you think that is? Because Pashinyan is weak. They're happy to do drills together, but they're not going to give you weapons.